Good evening from Vancouver. BC Place Stadium tonight celebrating this season the 50th anniversary of the Lions. They're going retro here. The Orange Crush, the orange uniforms are back. Look like a pumpkin patch in the warm-up here tonight. Against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Last they met was the West Division semifinal. The Bombers smoked them. Dave Ritchie, former coach of the Lions, won a Grey Cup in BC.
He won a Grey Cup in 1994. Dave Ritchie, a true player's coach. If you can't play for him, you probably can't play for anybody else. He stands 10th all-time in wins as a head coach in the CFL.
And your eyes do not deceive you. That is Wally Bono, now the head coach of the BC Lions, wearing the Lions' paw and not the Stampeder horse.
I'll tell you, I'm having a tough time seeing him in black, but Wally has had probably the most organized training camp that the BC Lions have seen in many a year. The players like his style. It's a no-nonsense. He says, I want consistency and accountability. I don't want to hear excuses. I want to see wins, and we'll see what happens as they face a very tough Winnipeg team tonight in their opener.
And there's a tough one. Charles Roberts back to receive. Curtis Head, new kicker for the BC Lions. Roberts with the ball. Close to midfield and smothered there, and Kahari Jones. Last year the Winnipeg Blue Bombers said that they had unfinished business. Well, they really have unfinished business this time, because the team that was painted, designed to win a Grey Cup, didn't get there last year.
They came close. They lost a real tough one in Edmonton last year, 33-30, but Kahari in his fourth year has had a wonderfully comfortable training camp, and boy, does he have a great cast around him.
Jones with Sellers and Roberts in the backfield. Charles Roberts has had an outstanding training camp. 3-yard pickup. Here's the offense. And the only real newcomer, Ladarius Van, number 8, wide receiver. Arlan Bruce is not with the Bombers this year.
Big offensive line. Probably the biggest and best change they have this year on the line is to have Mo Elwanibi anchoring their center. Paul LaPolice, the offensive coordinator, says you can't believe the difference it's made having him there.
2nd and 7. Jones in the pocket. And through the hands of Robert Gordon, and will bring out the punt team. Here's the defense. Front 7 for the BC Lions.
Yeah, led by the linebacking core. Carl Kidd and Barron Simpson, all CFL last year, those two linebackers. Ron O'Kinney is back after being out with an injury. And how about Mark Washington? 6 years with the Montreal Alouettes, Grey Cup championship ring on his finger. And he comes to the BC Lions as a free agent to anchor their secondary. You know how much they like him, Rod? They've made him a team captain already.
And for the first time in a long time, Bob Cameron not back to punt for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Veteran of 23 seasons is retired. Troy Westwood is the kicker and the punter this year for the Blue Bombers. And here comes Dave Dickinson. When last we saw him, he was with Wally Bono in Calgary.
And those numbers are from the year 2000 when he was, as you see, the MVP. And what you have to love about those is the touchdown to interception ratio. When you throw 36 TDs and have only 6 picks, you're working at a high level. Unfortunately tonight, he's missing a few people on offense. Chris Brazel, Jason Claremont, a fine slot back. They are out with injuries, so he'll have to make do with a couple of rookies who we'll get to in a second. 1st
and 10 from the 18-yard line. Shovel pass up the middle to Willie Hurst. So Dave Dickinson, newcomer is Frank Pitolo, a wide receiver. Ryan Thelwell is there. Geroy Simon, expect to see a lot of him tonight. Willie Hurst in the backfield with Lyle Green. Here's the offensive line.
Probably a tough spot for them early in the year. Angus Reid is just a young fellow getting his first full season to start. Ben Fairbrother moving to left guard. We'll see how this front line matures, but on paper it's not really a great offensive line in front of Dave Dickinson.
2nd and 3, throwing Harold Nash right there, and we have a penalty flag as Rob Turner, another newcomer. Official Bud Steen tonight. Here's the Winnipeg defense, and a defense, hard to believe they're improved, but they are. They have an embarrassment of riches.
You know, Rob, when you look at a defense, you say, where is the weak link? Well, there isn't a weak link on this defense. The linebackers are fabulous. Tommy Europe and two corners, Marvin Coleman and Ricky Bell, are outstanding. I mean, there is not one soft spot in Dave Ritchie's defense.
And they got another new guy who is an absolute all-star in Terry Ray from Edmonton. They picked him up. Mo Kelly is back. Dave Ritchie is already upset because the first penalty goes against Winnipeg. It will be 1st and 10 for BC from the Lion 35-yard line. Kelvin Anderson, by the way, another pickup from the Calgary Stampeders, will not see action tonight. Dickinson throwing again. Has a man open. It was Turner, but he overthrew him.
Boy, and he really had Turner open. They go motion and trips to the wide side of the field, and you're going to get a lot of man-to-man coverage against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. There's right there coming across the field, and watch him because he is open. Dave Dickinson had time to step up and really should have been able to deliver the strike, but you see already a pretty good strategy. Go wide side and run somebody back across the field. A long way for Harold Nash to chase.
There's Turner. Brian Thelwell is wide left. Dickinson opting to throw right from the get-go here tonight. Right back in the CFL, and a reception over the middle. And it's Geroy Simon, but not enough for a first down.
Well, Geroy Simon's the guy that's going to have to make all the big plays for the BC Lions here, just in across. But watch Harold Nash. I mean, he's in great position, stays on that outside hip, breaks on the football, and when Simon catches it around 7 yards, he just doesn't go any further. But I think when you look at the offense for BC, Geroy Simon's the big gunner in there, and he's going to have to catch a lot of footballs tonight to really have some success for his offense.
And a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber against his old mates. There's Blake Roberts back for the Blue Bombers. The new kicker for the BC Lions, number 7, a 22-year-old from Shelbyville, Kentucky, and it's blocked by the Blue Bombers. And they'll have the football at the BC 35-yard line. So Curtis Head, his first punt attempt as a member of the BC Lions. And here's a rude welcome to the Canadian Football League. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are terrific at blocking kicks. There's Mo Kelly right there in the middle of your screen, and watch, he just comes free right over top of the center. They see him late, they don't get enough of him, and Curtis Head, the rookie punter, has his first punt in the CFL blocked, and what a huge turnover early for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Play action. First toss there by Kahari Jones a couple of times already, and that one to Marcus Howell is knocked away. And Mo Kelly back with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In 1999, he was not only their most valuable defensive player, he was the most valuable player in Winnipeg.
Well, I mean, he's great. You look at this Winnipeg defense, and, you know, where do you put Mo Kelly? He will play tonight, but you certainly put him on special teams, and he's made an impact early in this game.
A couple of seasons away, Seattle Seahawks coming back to Winnipeg, did not play last year. Kahari Jones in the shotgun now. 2nd and 10. Going deep, wide open. Touchdown, Robert Gordon. 36 yards on an absolute bullet. You used to do that, didn't you, Leaf?
A long time ago. You better have a good memory to remember one of my touchdown catches. But Bobby Gordon,
I was talking about the dance.
Oh, no, not the dance. I'd get hurt doing that. Bobby Gordon, first time in 5 years he's had a full training camp in the CFL, and he just splits the seam of the coverage, and there's no way Chadwick Chris can leave his man and come over and catch it. But the Bombers take advantage of the turnover quickly. All good teams do that, and they jump out to an early lead.
First touchdown pass of the season for Kahari Jones. They are dancing in BC Place. Bombers lead 7-0. First touchdown of the season for the Bombers, number 84, Robert Gordon.
Well, the big thing here, you've got Gordon and Stiegel to the same side of the field. They seem to be far more concerned about Milt Stiegel. Chadwick Chris turns Bobby Gordon loose, and a little error, a little slow to react, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take advantage of the turnover with a nice touchdown early in this game.
Kick down to Willie Hurst. by Troy Westwood. Hurst cutting inside, gets up to about the 23-yard line. 65-yard kick, a return of 13 yards. Robert Gordon came to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers late last season after a hiatus in the Arena Football League.
Well, and he was tired when he came here, and he broke his arm. In fact, he's still got a plate in his right arm with 8 screws in it, and when he finishes his football career, he'll have it taken out. But this is the first training camp he's had back in the CFL in 5 years. And I know, in talking to Bobby tonight, he said it's made a huge difference. My legs are fresh. I'm ready to go. And, boy, he looked pretty darn good on that play. Good guy, too. Glad to see him back and playing so well.
Dave Dickinson. No running plays yet so far, but there's the first one up the middle. Backfield tonight for the BC Lions will be Willie Hurst and Lyle Green. And there's a lot of talk in BC about who will be the main running back, import running back. Willie Hurst, Kelvin Anderson, of course, acquired by the Lions, 7 consecutive 1,000-plus yard rushing seasons with Wally Buono. He hasn't become too familiar with the BC Lion playbook yet. That's why he's not in the lineup yet.
Yeah, and I think Wally wants to ease a few of these guys in here. I don't think he wants to come in and, you know, start reinventing the wheel with his personnel. But Kelvin will play. There's no question. He's a terrific back.
Dickinson throwing again. Over the middle again. Caught by Brett Anderson. Again, some injury problems from the Lions. Jason Claremont, last year's Rookie of the Year, not in the lineup. No Chris Brazel, but Brett Anderson gets a reception here.
Well, Brett Anderson's a guy that they'll bring in on 2nd and long situations as their 5th receiver. He's a 7th-year Canadian with the BC Lions, so he's been around for a long time. Very valuable young Canadian. But I think, Rod, the interesting thing tonight is to see how BC does on first down. I don't think they're going to want to be in 2nd and long against this defense all night.
Dickinson gives to Green. Rylan Wickman with the tackle right at the line of scrimmage. And that Bomber linebacking core, Clark, Wickman, and Lamar McGriggs, now add Terry Ray into the mix. And they are deadly.
Yeah, he was the leader with the club last year, 74 tackles. And again, this is the worst nightmare for BC. They can't be 2nd and long against this defense all evening. And I mean, Dave Dickinson just doesn't have enough weapons to go to play this kind of game.
Dickinson, 3 receivers to his right. Throws into coverage. And almost picked off by Milo Lewis.
See, the difference in this Winnipeg secondary, I mean, you've got 5 guys back there, and then when they bring Mo Kelly in as a dime back, they can all play zero coverage man-to-man. They can lock up on anybody. They don't lose a thing. Here you have Milo Lewis on Rob Turner, 83, the rookie. He fights him all the way downfield, and he breaks better to the football than Turner does. So, I mean, this is a tough team to back yourself up against and try to complete a lot of balls.
Last time Curtis Head was on the field, he was blocked unceremoniously by Mo Kelly. Charles Roberts is back.
Well, they'll fight. 24. He's right over the center again, Mo Kelly. I think they'll try to locate him this time.
Head gets it off this time. Close to the sideline. Roberts will go out of bounds at his 37-yard line. And here comes Robert Gordon, and if it's not Robert Gordon's going to beat you, it's Milt Stegall. If Milt Stegall doesn't beat you, it's Charles Roberts. If Charles Roberts doesn't beat you, it's Marcus Howell.
And you can
Harry Jones. You go down the list.
You can go on and on, but it's great offensive strategy. You go trips to the field, and then you come back short side of the field with Milt Stegall and Bobby Gordon. I mean, that's a lot of firepower with not a lot of help on the backside of the defensive coverage. So good offensive strategy. You know, sometimes formations dictate your success, and that was a good formation for that play call.
Inside 8 minutes, first quarter, already 7-0 Winnipeg. Ball fumbled at the line of scrimmage for Harry Jones. Got it back. Interesting subplot to tonight's game. 3 years running, the most outstanding players in the CFL are all in this game, including Kahari, who won it 2 years ago. As a matter of fact, Kahari Jones may have had a better season last year than he did in his most outstanding player season. He obliterated the Winnipeg Blue Bomber record book, and of course Milt Stegall won last year and Dave Dickinson in 2000.
I think you're right. I think Kahari did have a better year last year, and yet Milt Stegall with his 105 catches was the MVP, and of course deservingly so. 2nd and 12 for Jones in the shotgun. Over the middle.
through the hands of Charles Roberts. And so Troy Westwood will come out to kick it away.
But one of the things, the BC Lion defense, if they're only going to rush 4 people, they're going to have to get some pressure. And that time, they come close. I mean, they got some pretty good push up the middle. 96 Tyrone Williams almost gets to Kahari. But nevertheless, he should have completed that ball to Charles Roberts. But if the BC Lions in second and long are only going to rush 4, that's going to be a tough night for those 4 guys against that big offensive line of the Blue Bombers.
86 is Frank Pitolo, newcomer, almost blocked. Official looked like he wanted to throw a flag. Troy Westwood wanted to call. He was hit on the play, but after the kick. 41-yard punt. BC Lions take over. Dave Dickinson back at work when we come back. Dave Dickinson, who once played in a Grey Cup game here in 1999 against the Hamilton Tiger Cats with Calgary. Here are the numbers from 2000, his outstanding season with the Stampeders. Big yardage, a lot of touchdowns. It was a marvelous year for Dickinson. And now a member of the BC Lions after a couple of seasons away in the NFL, where he didn't see much action, said he wanted to play football again, wanted to start having some fun. From the 39, catch made by Willie Hurst, close to a first down.
Well, pretty interesting formation for the BC Lions on first down. All their receivers to the wide side. Here's Willie Hurst, the running back out here. And that's a pretty good play. Run a quick screen out to him. Try to get a little block quickly. And that's good production on first down. Almost 9.5 yards. But an interesting formation to create the matchup that they wanted to have. The Lamar McGriggs has to walk off as a linebacker, go out and cover him. And I like that matchup.
Willie Hurst last year only 6 games for the BC Lions. Injury-filled season, had the shoulder problems. And again, now in a fight for a job to be the #1 running back here in BC as soon as Calvin Anderson is ready to play.
And most coaches will tell you they like that.
Yeah, why not?
That's a good thing.
Wally certainly would like that as he brings Calvin Anderson over. So it is second and short yardage. Dickinson keeping.
Well, I don't know. That was an awfully good surge by the Winnipeg front 6. Those 2 big tackles, Doug Brown and Denny Fortney. Denny Fortney, number 90. They just submarined in under Angus Reid, and I'm not sure he got it.
Well, they gave it the first down. I think they only had inches to go, and I think that's all they got. Were a couple of inches. There's big Doug Brown, the giant on the Bombers D-line. Wally Buono, 13 seasons with the Stampeders. For 12 years, he took his team to the playoffs, and last year they did not, and he was given the heave-ho in Calgary and trying to do the same, get this team, BC, back to the playoffs and further. Dickinson, and he's chased down and sacked by Tyson St. James. Tyson St. James, happy to be back. He's from here in Nanaimo, BC. Played with the UBC T-Birds.
And he was originally the first-round pick 3 years ago, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. First round, first pick, and he stayed at home on the bootleg, read the play perfectly. Nobody was open downfield, and he gets the first sack of the game tonight.
Replacing the injured David Benefield, Tyson St. James. Second and 19. Dickinson. Lobs one up and out of bounds was Ryan Thelwell. And so once again, Curtis Head will have to come on and punt the ball away.
And a little bit of rust here in the first quarter for Dave Dickinson because he overthrew Rob Turner a couple of series ago when he should have completed, and Ryan Thelwell was wide open right here, and Dave Dickinson put a lot of airtime on that football out to the sidelines because Thelwell did a nice pivot to the outside, and you know, Dickinson's upset. And listen, he's been out of the game essentially for 2 years holding clipboards and hasn't had a lot of game experience, didn't play a great deal in preseason, so I'm not surprised to see not an overly smooth first quarter. Once again, Curtis Head is back to kick it away. Matt Kellett was the kicker in BC last year. Head came in and almost had that one blocked. No call on the play. Roberts out of bounds again. So they're keeping the ball away from Charles Roberts, and that's probably a pretty good idea.
And Wally Buono has just been one piece of a different look for the BC Lions this year. Look at all the changes, Leaf.
I know there's a lot of changes, but you know what you have to like about Wally Buono? He said, you know what? I want to be successful today. I don't care if we have changes. These are pros. They're all good players. And he said, I'm not looking 3 years down the road, because if I do, and I say that to the players, then that's just an excuse for them to fail. So you have to like his style. He says, hey, I want to win now. I don't care if we're rebuilding.
1st and 10 from the Bomber 32. Roberts is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. That record last year for BC, 10-8. They had to come a long way back. Remember, the Lions started last year 1-5. Steve Barato was fired as head coach of the Lions. Adam Rita came in. The Lions finally were able to make it into the playoffs and lost to the Bombers 30-3 in the Western Division semifinal. But it was almost a miracle that this team got to the playoffs after the start they had. Now 2nd and 9. Jones with Sellers in the backfield. Kahari over the middle. Knocked away, intended for Milt Stegall. So far, with the exception of the play to Bobby Gordon, Lions secondary has been pretty strong.
Well, a nice stunt up front by the BC Lions, and they finally get some pressure. Watch Tyrone Williams loop to the outside, and Kahari Jones sees him coming. The ball is incomplete, and the BC Lions, other than one play to Bobby Gordon, have done a pretty commendable job here in the first quarter on defense.
There's Frank Contola. Played some with the New Orleans Saints. Ball out of bounds again. That's the third 2 and out for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 7-0 is the score here in BC Place. Dave Dickinson, the handoff. Willie Hurst fighting for some yardage again, about 6 yards this time. 2.5 minutes to go, first quarter. Dave Dickinson and the Lions trailing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 7-0.
Well, Jason Claremont, the great slot back, not in the lineup tonight. He's nursing a hamstring injury. And boy, you look at no Calvin Anderson yet, no Jason Claremont, no Chris Brazel, the wide receiver. I mean, that's a lot of firepower on the sidelines that I'm sure Dave Dickinson's looking forward to having in the near future.
2nd and 2. Dickinson over the middle. Ball in the air, and it's picked off. Brian Clark. A little hot potato up the middle. Lions couldn't hang on, and Brian Clark has the pickoff.
Yeah, that's a quarterback killer right there, because Dave Dickinson put it on the money and the catch wasn't made. All of a sudden, Brian Clark, number 48, is Johnny on the spot, and he gets the pick off the missed reception. Brian Clark right in the middle. There he comes back out to the outside. Watch the tip. Ball up in the air. He reacts to it. Perfect. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers' second turnover this first quarter. And if you're the BC Lions and you're struggling a bit on offense, it's a tough way to give up a turnover when the ball should have been caught by Turner.
Kahari Jones will operate from the BC 46. Their best start from a line of scrimmage so far here tonight. Charles Roberts has about 4 or 5. Brian Clark, and if you talk to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they'll tell you that he's one of the more underrated members of their team. So many players with all-star numbers and all-star status beside their name, and Clark is not one of them, but many feel that he should be.
Well, you know, you look at guys like Brian Clark, Terry Ray, and Brian Wickman. They're not that big, but boy, are they quick. I mean, tremendous mobility and quickness to pick off that tip ball and get the interception.
2nd and 6 from the 43. Jones backpedaling. Mike Sellers can't hang on. And the first touch tonight for the linebacker slash running back slash fullback, Mike Sellers, is one big fella.
Yeah, he's 270 right now, so he's a good size, and he's a good guy to get the ball to out of the backfield. But Kahari Jones, about the third hit he's taken tonight. Number 97, Brent Johnson, got a hand in him just as he released the football.
And Troy Westwood will come on, and it's interesting to note, as Westwood will try to kick a field goal here from the 50-yard line, the Bombers are only operating with 2 quarterbacks, Kahari Jones and Brian Stallworth. Pick is up. And it's wide. And here comes Catola. Down the sideline. And up to the 48. He's still on his feet to the 41-yard line. And a flag on the play.
Well, the toughest thing to do on a missed field goal of this length, over 50 yards, is to try to cover it. You're in tight formation. You've got to protect and think about covering later. And Frank Catola finds a beautiful seam. Good block from Baron Simpson, 51. And down the field, they're going to get a roughing call added onto this. So a big break for the BC Lions and a terrific return by the rookie.
Frank Catola. 30 seconds to go in this first quarter.
Well, you know, Rod, BC needed a bit of a break. I mean, nothing's really gone their way here in the first quarter. They've given up a couple of turnovers, a block punt, which you hate to have happen on special teams. But now a big kick return by the rookie and a penalty. And Dave Dickinson's got some breathing space in Winnipeg territory for the first time tonight.
Catola wide left.
Oh, he's got a man.
And he has him. G.Y. Simon. And it's a touchdown for BC. 53-yard touchdown. Dave Dickinson, welcome back to the Canadian Football League. Just like a few years ago in Calgary.
And don't you love it that he builds on the momentum they got from the kick return and the penalty, and he goes for the home run right away. The Winnipeg defense, they're aggressive. They'll give you some chances to go over the top, and if you can take advantage, you're going to have a good night. And G-Roy Simon with a terrific post pattern gets the touchdown.
Curtis Head with his first point in the CFL. Dave Dickinson is back in the CFL. And G-Roy Simon was back in the end zone, and he was wide open. First quarter is over. 7-all here at BC Place. Back to Dave Randorf. Yeah, I'd like to see what those guys in the studio would look like in orange. Well, right now, Dave Dickinson's looking very good in retro orange, and G-Roy Simon, I think we're going to hear a lot of that this season. Dickinson to Simon here in BC. It's 7-all.
Well, the BC Lions really needed that. You know, we talked, Rod, about not having anything really good happen in that first quarter. Well, they finished the first quarter off in fine style, and really the key is in the middle. I mean, you look at Tommy Europe in the middle. He bites over here for some reason, and then that opens everything up for G-Roy Simon. I mean, you could say Milo Lewis didn't have great coverage, but watch Tommy Europe. That's the key. The middle is vacated, lots of room, good airtime on the football, and, you know, for all intents and purposes, a pretty easy touchdown for G-Roy Simon because he had tons of field to work with. But, hey, Winnipeg's going to give you some chances throughout a game to hit some home runs, and G-Roy Simon and Dave Dickinson teamed up perfectly.
That one was out of the park. So here's Curtis Head. Blocked punt early on. Charles Roberts is back. The ever-dangerous Charles Roberts. And he is met by the Orange Crush at the 35-yard line. 61-yard kickoff, 21-yard return. G.Y. Simon, the former Bomber, and the receiving end from Dave Dickinson.
Well, when you don't get any help in the middle, I mean, that's a tough assignment. G-Roy Simon, one of the best slot backs in the league, had a good preseason, and he's in full stride here. So, I mean, you really can't fault Milo Lewis. That's a long way to chase a premier slot back.
So Kahari Jones from his 35. Second quarter underway here at BC Place. Leif Pedersen, Rod Black, Farhan Laji is on the sidelines here tonight. Jones on a play action, scrambling, and no one is home. Here's a look, Leif, at the numbers for Kahari Jones and the Bombers versus the Lions. Only one first down for Winnipeg.
Yeah, and the BC numbers got a lot better on the last play of the first quarter, didn't they?
Did they ever. And the turnovers, 2 BC Lion turnovers, the block punt and the interception. However, it's 7 up here. So Sellers and Charles Roberts in the backfield. Roberts now goes wide left, and we have flags on the field. A lot of movement there at the line.
Illegal procedure. Winnipeg 65.
Scott Harper, second season with Winnipeg. He moved.
Well, he only played a couple of games last year, so he is a bit of a question mark at that left tackle spot. He's Scott Harper, and probably not a huge concern to Dave Ritchie's. He likes his offensive line. I mean, he likes his entire team, and what's not to like about it?
Who wouldn't? They've kind of become the Yankees of the CFL. A lot of talent. Kahari Jones under pressure. Airs it out. Almost for Marcus Howell. He wanted a call, didn't get it. Kahari Jones did well to get that off.
Well, and the BC Lions are getting good pressure on second and long, only rushing 4 people. Watch Craig Powell at the top of your screen. He comes a stunt on right up the middle and forces Kahari Jones up into the pocket. Now, he still had time to release the football, but nevertheless, I'm impressed that when BC's only rushing 4, they're getting enough heat on Jones just to disrupt his rhythm.
Troy Westwood takes over the hunting duties from the vet, Bob Cameron, and it's a good one go. Here's Cotolo, had a good return earlier. Little dancing, and he will start his offense at the 35-yard line. Steve Barato has words for Dave Dickinson. 7-7 here. We'll be back. Wendy's CFL Live next Thursday. Calgary and Commonwealth to play the Eskimos. Stampeders 0-1. Looked like they had a win, the big W, and lost to the Montreal Alouettes, the defending Grey Cup champions. Matt Kellett, the former Lion. 5 field goals in that game. Jim Barker, an interesting decision in overtime, going for the win. 1st and 10 for BC on their own 36-yard line. Dickinson. Handoff up the middle. Lyle Green, pickup of about 6 yards. Dave Dickinson has shown no signs of any CFL rest so far, has he?
Little early, but, you know, listen, Jock Climby had a great point. No meaningful reps in the last 2 years except running other teams' offenses in practice. So, listen, I'm not surprised he started off slowly, but when it was time to deliver the strike to an open guy, he was right on the money to G. Roy Simon.
2nd and 4 for Dickinson and the Lions in their retro orange. Oh, my.
Ricky Ray has made his presence known already. Or Terry Ray, rather.
They had a lot of Rays in Edmonton.
Boy, oh boy.
It was like a laser ray there.
Yeah, I mean, they've got so many ways they can go on defense. Watch him sneak right up in the line of scrimmage. There he is right there. And at the snap of the ball, there is just nobody ready. They're trying to cut block on a quick out to the wide receiver on 2nd and 4. But Terry Ray in the lineup gets the sack. Dickinson had no chance whatsoever. But how many guns can you have on defense? I mean, you got Mo Kelly, who's a backup. You got Terry Ray, who they're trying to work into the lineup. That's a lot of firepower.
Curtis Head back at his 24-yard line. Charles Roberts back at his 26. Head almost again had it blocked. Bombers all over him. Roberts tries to retreat, spins. Got a lot more out of that than it looked at first. Picked up 13 yards. 12 minutes to go, 2nd quarter. Winnipeg 7, BC 7 on TSN. Well, this is a great promotion. For every sack in the season during tonight's game, Perlator will donate a sack of food to the Daily Food Bank. Every Lion sack earns the Vancouver Food Bank a donation. Any Bombers sack will earn the Winnipeg Food Bank sack of food, courtesy of Perlator. Perlator tackles hunger, so Tyson St. James and Terry Ray with the sacks tonight. Calgary 8 sacks tonight. BC would like one of those from the Herminator, Herman Smith, number 91 on the line for BC. Winnipeg starts 1st and 10 from their 40. 7-7 here. Season opener for both teams. Roberts on the give. Spinning. 1st down, a pickup of 12 yards.
Yeah, nice block by the right guard, Eric Wilson, too. It's a misdirection play, and Charles Roberts, they're going to have to get the ball in his hands a lot more. Good kick out by Wilson right there, and doesn't take much for Charles Roberts to turn it upfield, and a nice running play and a first down for the Bombers, and they've got to start to get some ball control and just start to work that clock a little bit.
Roberts again. And a penalty. Only 5 yards on the play. Looked like at the point of contact. Here's Blink Roberts' numbers last year, 216 carries. He has a lot of all-purpose yardage, 11 touchdowns for Charles Roberts.
Well, you total all those up, and returns that he made, 2,914 yards on the season, #1 in all-purpose yardage. Was he something or what?
BC 45.
And because you knew it was either a roughing call or a face mask call, and it was a face mask call, as Charles Roberts had his grill rearranged. Ron O'Kimmy on the call. 1st and 10 now from the Lion 40-yard line. Darius Vann is wide right. 3 receivers right, but Roberts goes left. Stuffed at the line of scrimmage by the Lions.
Well, if those front 4 of the BC Lions can neutralize things at the point of attack, that's all they need to have those linebackers take their turn. Barron Simpson, Carl Kidd, and Ron O'Kimmy, boy, what a job they can do. So if you can get your guys upfield, as they do right here, they get penetration from Tyrone Williams, they get a little penetration on the outside from Herman Smith, and that's all it takes for O'Kimmy to make the play.
Barron Simpson, the anchor of that BC front 7. Jones now in the pocket. Oh! Rocked. Charles Roberts picks it up for an even bigger loss. And Kahari Jones was rattled. Lost the ball. Charles Roberts picked it up. The Bombers lost 18 yards on the play. There's Barron Simpson. Carl Kidd was up there. Let's take a look, Leaf.
Well, they bring the house. Watch them sneak up. Here's O'Kimmy on the outside. They got the safety halfback blitz coming at the top. And there's just too many folks for the Winnipeg Bombers to pick up. And Carl Kidd at the bottom. And boy, oh boy, Tony Walker puts the final hit on there. Roberts recovers, but a lot of pressure by that BC front.
Westwood. Pitolo again. Lions will start at the 30-yard line. Good defense from the BC Lions. Carl Kidd leading the way. We'll be back. 7-7 BC place. Lions, Dave Dickinson back to pass. Dump pass to Willie Hurst. He has about 5 yards. Collared there by the Blue Bombers.
Well, Willie Hurst is playing tonight, and he's playing pretty well, but there's a fella, Kelvin Anderson, who's on the sidelines, and you know he's itching to get in the lineup with his new team.
He wanted to play tonight. He wanted to be in this lineup.
You know what, though? I think Wally Buono did the right thing. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, and he said, look, you know, there's some good players here, and obviously we've got some good players that we brought in, and he said, I think we just need to do things gradually, and I really agreed with that. I don't agree with Wally that often, but I agreed with him on that one. 2nd and 4 over the middle again.
And that's Rob Turner, newcomer. A couple of newcomers for the BC Lions. And their receiving core tonight, again with their injuries and their pickups. Claremont out. Brazel's out. Good catch by Turner. A couple of big receptions tonight. Moves the chains.
Yeah, and you always wonder how a rookie's going to play in his first game. And Turner had one bounce off his shoulder pads earlier on the interception by Brian Clark. But for the most part, not too bad in his first game. And, of course, Frank Catolo, the other rookie in that receiving course, had some good plays on special teams.
Leroy Simon is wide left, but the handoff is to Hurst up the middle. Has about 3 or 4. BC Lions staying in this one. We talked about this earlier today with all the changes, Leaf, to the BC Lions team. You know, they're not accustomed to one another. A guy like Calvin Anderson's not playing. On paper, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers not having many changes, coming off an outstanding season, you would think this would be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber dominated game. But
well, don't tell that to BC.
Don't tell that to BC. 2nd and 7. Dickinson throwing again. Has some running room, but tosses it, and it's picked off. Brian Clark, his 2nd interception tonight. Harold Nash with the ball, still has it. And Brian Clark has the radar tonight on Dave Dickinson.
Well, Dave Dickinson gets flushed out of the pocket. He's actually got lots of time to look downfield, and Brian Clark, absolute ball hawk in this first half, as he's just reading the quarterback's eyes, reading the eyes, and then boom, when the ball's delivered, he breaks on it. When you throw back across the field, when you're rolling out, you're asking for trouble, and he threw into traffic. Clark with the interception, and boy, oh boy, when you do that as a quarterback, more often than not, you get picked off.
Bombers start on the 39. Jones is throwing. No, he'll scamper. Penalty on the play. Flag on the play. Jones escaping the pocket.
Well, one more look at the turnover. You see everybody going to the right, and all of a sudden Dickinson tries to throw back across the grain. Very difficult ball to complete, and Clark with his 2nd interception. Yeah, he knows it. I mean, that's one of those things, and that's what's made him a good quarterback, is not to give up a lot of interceptions that he shouldn't. And that was one he'd probably rather have back.
His outstanding season when he won the award, his ratio for touchdowns to interceptions was 36-6. Tonight, it's 1-2. Holding call against Winnipeg. 1st and 20 on the 49. Another flag. Jones, no one there, out of bounds.
You know, just to finish that thought on the interceptions, you look at Kahari Jones and the terrific year he had last year, where he set a team record with 46 touchdowns. He threw 29 interceptions in 4 years in the league.
BC 97. First down repeated.
Brant Johnson gets whistled for the infraction.
Just to finish that thought, Kahari throws 29 picks just in 1 year last year. Dave Dickinson in his 4 years in Calgary total threw 21. So Kahari will throw it up for grabs, and it just tells you that Dave Dickinson's a pretty high percentage kind of passer.
Well, Brian Clark already has more interceptions than he had all of last year. In fact, 3 career interceptions before tonight, has 2 picks already. Jones over the middle, firing it into Charles Roberts on 1st and 15, but he's going nowhere.
Well, that's a lot of respect for the BC defense that Kahari Jones is showing, because he's got 2nd and 15. He knows he's, or 1st and 15 rather, he knows he can maybe break one with Roberts, but rather than force it downfield, he said, look, I'm going to give it to my speed guy underneath the coverage, and let's see if he can break it. But that BC defense is quick.
2nd and 13 now from the 42. Jones in the shotgun. Milt Steagle's been very quiet so far here tonight. Going over the middle. Marcus Howell wasn't there. Looked like he was wide open. Kahari couldn't pull the trigger.
Well, here's a look at Marcus Howell here. Now stop it right there, boom, can you? As soon as he clears this area, the ball has to be in the air. Let's see when Kahari lets it go. Not bad, not bad, just a little overthrown, but when you're running against a zone like that, as soon as you see your guy clearing a linebacker, the ball's got to be in the air, and the timing was pretty good, just a little overthrown.
From the 49, Westwood. Right through the uprights. And the Bombers now have a 3-point lead. 10-7, 4:58 to go before halftime at BC Place. Unfamiliar territory for Wally Buono, but he has some familiar friends with him, like Calvin Anderson, who's not playing tonight, but is with Farhan Lalji. Farhan?
Yeah, he is, Rod, and Calvin Anderson was very close to playing in this game. You really wanted to play in this. How well do you know the offense, and how close were you to playing?
I'm getting the offense quite well. I'm learning it quite well. It's coming along. So it's a chance that we want to let Hurst play tonight. He's dedicated to the game, so he needs to let Hurst play and get him some playing time. And I'm just going to come in when his time is right.
What about the fact that Wally is here, Dave Dickinson is here, and the offense is pretty similar to what you're used to as well? How comfortable are you because of that?
I'm real comfortable. I'm glad to be playing with Dave again. I know Dave is a winner, so I'm happy to be playing with him. I'm happy to be reunited with Wally, too.
7 1,000 seasons, looking for 8. Thanks, Calvin.
Definitely.
Well, it's interesting situation for the BC running attack. Of course, Willie Hurst is on the playing roster. Calvin Anderson is on the roster but not playing tonight. Sean Millington is on CBC's roster. He's going to the broadcast booth. And who will be the running back of choice down the road here in BC? Hurst has done a good job here tonight. Fumbled at the line, and it's Winnipeg ball. At least the Bombers are saying that. Is it? Yes, it is.
Milo Lewis. Dickinson never got the exchange, and I've always said it's the quarterback's responsibility, not the center's. You've got to hang in there, and between Angus Reid and Dave Dickinson, something happened. The ball came loose. Watch, it's kicked right here, and there's Milo Lewis, 21, and he's going to make the recovery. Gets it in his knees, wraps it up, and the third big turnover in the first half for the Winnipeg Bombers. Fourth turnover, rather. You had 2 interceptions by Clark, block punt, and now this fumble recovery.
Now close to the red zone for the Bombers. Milo Lewis with the fumble recovery. Bombers have not really converted their chances, however, on the turnovers. Only a 3-point lead. Jones, lots of time, over the middle. Catch made by Robert Gordon. 13-yard pickup.
Well, I love that bootleg. They fake the play action, and then that allows Kahari Jones to bootleg out to the wide side of the field. You get a great look at it here. Watch the play action fake, and all of a sudden, Kahari Jones has got some great options now. If he sees things open up, he can run. But he sees Bobby Gordon coming across the field with lots of room to make the reception, and I love that style of offense for a mobile quarterback.
Sellers in the backfield. Quick toss. And it's a touchdown. Bobby Gordon, second of the night. 2 quick hits. Back-to-back Bobby Gordon. And the BC Lions do not want the Bombers dancing in their end zone. That was Carl Kidd coming over.
Well, that's just a childish penalty that Carl Kidd took right there, because the guys are celebrating. Let them have their fun. It's all part of the entertainment of football. But Bobby Gordon gets great position to the right side of your screen, and 2 steps, boom, the ball is in the air. He's got great inside position on Chadwick Chris, and there's no way he's going to make the play. If you don't come up and challenge and play bump and run in the goal line, you're going to be in trouble. And Bobby Gordon gets his 2nd touchdown of the night, and look at that. 17 points off turnovers. My, oh my, good teams do that. Let's go back and have a half-field look at Bobby Gordon, and this is just getting position. If you don't get the jam and you get inside, you're in deep trouble. There's no jam, there's no contact, and that's far too easy when you're a corner on the goal line in that kind of a defense. Far too easy.
Bobby Gordon's 2nd touchdown of the evening. And it is all Winnipeg right now, mostly because the BC Lions have been coughing it up. And Bobby Gordon right now, early in the ball game, 1st touchdown reception, another touchdown catch for the Blue Bombers. Remember last year, Kahari Jones had 46 touchdown tosses, almost a CFL record. So he's well on his way here tonight.
Well, in chatting with Kahari, I mean, he's such a good guy. You sit down and you talk to him, and he's so accommodating to tell you about the offense and how camp went. And he said, look, it's my 4th year. Training camp was very comfortable. He knows his guys. They put in a few more things on offense. You're going to see Mike Sellers maybe line up at wide receiver tonight to give them a different look. But he's got a great group to work with. They're close friends, and boy, oh boy, when they're in sync, they're tough to beat.
Waiting on one of the BC Lions being tended to in the end zone. Here's how they spread it around. Kahari Jones.
And you know what really that translates to, if you look at the wide receiver totals, that's roughly 25% of the completions over the course of the year go to the wide receivers. And yet tonight, Bobby Gordon, the wide receiver, has a couple of touchdowns. The running backs is the real key for Winnipeg. Between Roberts and Sellers last year, 118 catches. And to me, that's the real key of their team. You can talk about Milt Stegall with 105, but when you get running backs that have that kind of fast receiving production, it just opens everything else up.
So it is 17-7 now for Jones and the Bombers. Bobby Gordon's second touchdown reception. 10-point lead. Kahari Jones, 46 touchdown passes last year. In one game, Leif Pettersson, last September, the Bombers lost 2 of 3, by the way, to the Lions. In one game here at BC Place, in a loss, he had 39 completions, which was close to a CFL record.
And what happened? Did he win that game?
No, they lost.
Ah.
Yeah, I saw it was coming for them.
3:21 to go, second quarter. Troy Westwood, 10-point Bomber lead. There's Hurst. Gets it up to the 29-yard line. Lions have given the ball away 4 times already. And Dave Dickinson knows that they're going to have to protect this football.
Well, I think with 3:15 remaining in this half, I think Dave Dickinson at 17-7, really, number one, no more turnovers, and number two, would like to at least get some momentum back on his side. I mean, they had a couple of big plays with the Catolo return and then the G. Roy Simon touchdown, but outside of that, they really haven't had a lot of encouraging things happen on offense. But a nice drive here to finish off the first half would go a long way to helping their cause.
Dickinson shotgun. Wide open is Thelwell. Penalty in the backfield, roughing the passer. Looks like Doug Brown got a little too close to Dave Dickinson. Dave Dickinson is someone who takes a lot of hits.
Winnipeg 97, first down.
I mean, that's a big 15 yards, too, because you're deep in your own territory. You get the catch to Thelwell. All of a sudden, another 15 more. Dave Ritchie can't believe it, but he's never seen a good penalty called against his team. But that's a big break for BC.
Heavily penalized team last year, Winnipeg. 2:53, it's the 3-minute warning here. 17-7 Winnipeg. 2:51 to the fellas. They're getting ready. Wendy's at the half. They're down on their burgers. They'll be with us. They'll be honoring some of the Lion greats at halftime here in BC Place, celebrating anniversary 50 here. Dickinson over the middle. Catch made by Anderson. Matt Dunnigan, of course, had a few great years here in BC. The guys are standing by. Wendy's Friday Night Football doubleheader tonight. Ottawa knocking off the McManus-less Tiger Cats early on.
Yeah, it's a different Hamilton team without Danny Mack in there.
And Rob Hitchcock.
And a lot of guys.
No Darren Flutie this year. 2:10 to go. On the 43, 1st and 10. Motion in the backfield. Dickinson. Another reception. Thelwell breaks a tackle. Harold Nash was there, and the pickup is going to be about 6.
Great job at picking up the safety blitz. Tommy Europe coming right off the top of the screen, and BC does a super job. Watch that. Here he comes. Boom, right off the corner. They pick it up. They make the reception to the outside, and, you know, that's a tough play to protect against. You end up with a 6-yard gain. That's pretty good offense.
G. Roy Simon did a pretty good job with some blocking help in the backfield, protecting Dickinson.
You know, with Terry Ray and Mo Kelly in there, they can give Dickinson a lot of false looks with blitzes.
Another catch made. Anderson dodges a tackle down the sideline to the 15-yard line. Big pickup, 24 yards for Brett Anderson.
Well, in a lot of ways, you can measure a receiver. Well, how many yards can he get after the catch? Brett Anderson in his 7th year Nice move on Mo Kelly right there, and he picks up about 12 extra yards here down the sidelines, gets out of bounds, stops the clock. You can't do it any better than that.
Down to the 15. Boy, what a moral victory this would be for the Lions if they can get a score before halftime. They've given up the football 4 times in this first half. But they're in the red zone now. Low snap in the shotgun. Dickinson, nowhere to go. Brian Clark in there first. Lamar McGrig's also there, but it looked like Clark might have tripped up Dickinson.
Well, unfortunately, Dickinson initially, he's got plenty of time to throw. Great coverage downfield, and that's a coverage sack for McGriggs and Brian Clark as they come in and get the pressure. But, you know, initially Dickinson had plenty of time to pick out a receiver. That Winnipeg secondary just tightened it up.
McGriggs gets the sack. 2nd and 20 now. We'll need better protection here for Dickinson. Patolo is wide left. Simon over the middle is open. Dickinson can't find him. He fumbles the ball. Anderson has it. Oh, he lost it. Now he has it again and just covers up. And a penalty after the play. Looks like Rylan Wickman. And it might be a late hit, a roughing call. And we'll sort this out. That was bizarre.
Piling on. Winnipeg 55. First down.
And it's a first down on a broken play that probably would have meant a field goal try, and now the Lions have life again.
Well, I don't know about that one. That's pretty soft call there by the officials. Wickman, I mean, if he speared him or did something really flagrant, I could see it, but he just kind of fell on him, and it almost looked like Anderson was trying to get up again. So, I don't know.
Might have had a point, Wickman. 1st and 10 on the 24. Another turn of events here. Thelwell wide left. Patolo wide right. Play action again for Dickinson. Nobody home. And he's knocked to the turf again. That time by Denny Fortney was in on the play.
Well, that's designed to go to Frank Catolo back on the weak side, and Ricky Bell just had super coverage one-on-one, but the pressure is non-stop by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers up front. Here comes Brian Clark again, although Dickinson still stepped up nicely into the pocket, and he will do that. He has always been willing to take the hit to try to make a completion, but you see the coverage by Ricky Bell there. No way Catolo was going to get back to the corner.
2nd and 10 for the Lions. Dickinson scrambling again. Tosses it up. Incomplete again. Loads of pressure on Dave Dickinson. And great coverage from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers secondary.
You know what, Rod? Only for the one time that G. Simon got in behind Milo Lewis for the most part tonight. Look at downfield. The Bombers secondary, they're all over the BC Lion receivers. And that time it was Harold Nash. The ball a little overthrown, but when a quarterback scrambles and you can still stay with your man, you've done a heck of a job. And that Winnipeg secondary is as good as there is, one-on-one across the board.
There's the numbers for Curtis Head in the preseason. And a penalty. That was kick number 1.
And he missed it. So he's probably glad they got a penalty.
Getting another chance. Well, remember last year, Matt Kellett was maligned here in BC. Came back a couple of times to redeem himself. Steve Barato remembers the name Matt Kellett, but Matt Kellett the other night was the hero for the Montreal Alouettes.
Illegal procedure. BC 95. 3rd down repeated.
You know, the kickers don't get enough credit. They get a lot of discredit at times. They don't get enough credit when you do find one. And people might think that they're a dime a dozen. They are not.
Well, Curtis Head was 4 out of 5 in field goals in preseason. So, I mean, he's had a good few weeks in the camp.
Here it is. There it goes. 1 for 1 now. As a member of the BC Lions, Curtis Head And it's only a 7-point margin at halftime.
Yeah, and that was very important for Wally Buono's team. I mean, they took the ball over with 3:15 to go. Winnipeg had just scored, and, you know, there was some good stuff that happened for them. They got a Doug Brown roughing penalty. They got another roughing penalty on Wickman to certainly help the drive, but truly important for that BC offense to get some points going into the half and make it only a 7-point game, as you mentioned.
Now, providing they can hold the fort here, there's still 42 seconds to go with this high-octane Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense. And it's been all Bobby Gordon and Kahari Jones here tonight. Milt Stiegel's been very quiet. Kahari Jones with Sellers in the backfield. Roberts comes out. Jones over the middle. Knocked away and almost taken away by Barron Simpson.
Nice job by Barron Simpson in the middle, just reading the quarterback's eyes, and when Kahari steps up and delivers, Simpson breaks on the football and gets the tip. But they are truly an active group between Carl Kidd, Barron Simpson, Ron O'Kimmy. Well, you got Kelly Lockbaum and a rookie, Javier Glad at linebacker, and they say Javier Glad is going to be truly a great non-import linebacker too.
2nd and 10 for Jones. Out of the pocket. Had running room, threw it though, and that's Milt Stiegel's first catch of the new season.
Well, you
Most
can't
outstanding player last year.
Right, you can't expect your secondary to hang with a guy like Stiegel for that amount of time. Once the initial pressure comes and Kahari Jones breaks containment, the fun starts, and Stiegel finally gets open. It's a 36-yard gain, and as I say, for the BC secondary, that's a tough guy to hang with it for that long.
Getting close to field goal range. In fact, they are now. Stiegel back-to-back. What a season last year for Milt Stiegel. Touchdown leader now. Corey Philpott of the BC Lions used to have that number. 23 touchdowns last year. All receiving for Milt Stiegel. The Turtle Man.
Why do they call him the Turtle Man?
Well, he says
some inside stuff.
He says, well, I guess because of his abs, his abdominals, he looks like a turtle shell. He's like you. That's like because of your abs.
I got the butt abs.
There's Sellers up the middle, so they are with 12 seconds left, moving the sticks again. They might have another crack at the end zone.
Well, I think that's what they'll do. 12 seconds. They take their timeout. This is a good time to do it. At 12 seconds, you get at least one play, and if you don't get out of bounds, you probably have time to bring Troy Westwood in, but that's good. Kahari will come over. They'll check upstairs, Paul LaPolice, and see what he wants to do.
So Kahari Jones with Dave Ritchie. There's backup quarterback Brian Stallworth. There's Paul LaPolice. There's Gene Gaines closest to us.
No confusion. That's Paul right over there, just so we know. And in his second full year as offensive coordinator, and he's a terrific young mind as a coach in this league. And he's got a great group, obviously, to work with. But he and his quarterback, Kahari, are truly on the same page when it comes to calling a game.
So the Bombers will try to find the end zone before halftime here, or bring in Westwood. Jones had it blocked at the line. And this will bring out Troy Westwood with 6 seconds to go. That was Shadwick Chris trying to dive for the football to snuff it out, but they can't.
Well, good pressure again from BC. Get those hands up. If you can't get the sack, get your hand up. And from the outside, the ball is tipped just enough that Chris had a pretty good chance to make that interception.
So Troy Westwood already made one tonight from the 49-yard line. This will come from almost 36.
He's been lifting. Look at those arms. Widen out just a touch. He's got, look at these things. He's a small little kicker. Look at those. Those are huge.
Robo kicker.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's been in the weight room.
Incredible Hulk. 35-yard, just beyond the 35-yard line for Troy Westwood to make it 20-10. And through. Well, he may have big arms, but he's got a good leg. That's the main thing.
He's a terrific kicker. You know what he's done well tonight is his punt. His punts have got lots of airtime on them, hang time, and heck, he's a great kicker. He's a good guy, and just one more little thing that Winnipeg has that's good. He's got a great kicking game.
2 seconds to go, so one last crack for the BC Lions. Trail by 10.
No, Ron, if you look at BC and what they've done in the first half, I think Wally should be thrilled that they're only trailing by 10 points. I mean, when you give up the ball 4 times as they have to the high-powered Winnipeg offense and they've only scored 20 points, you know, listen, hey, it hasn't gone the way he wants it to. He'd like to be tied or ahead, but I think if you go into the locker room, you got to say to yourself, this hasn't been all bad. I've got my quarterback back in a flow now. He's had a half. Let's go in, make some adjustments. Let's get the ball out of the backfield just a little bit more in the second half, and we're only 10 behind. Dave Ritchie, I don't think he's too upset about the way his team has played either.
Well, the bad news for the Lions might be that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are notoriously slow starters, and they usually turn it on. Their numbers in the third and fourth quarters over the last couple of seasons have been outstanding. So we'll see what happens in this second half here tonight. Geroy Simon back to get this kick from Troy Westwood. And that's Carl Kidd, and that will be the first half. So 4 turnovers. Costly for the Lions. It's 20-10. 2 touchdowns from Bobby Gordon here at BC Place as we send it back to the fellas.
Well, we're all pumped up to party, and we're ready for a fight. Come on, kick back, relax. It's Friday night football tonight.
Well, it's a fun night, even though if you're a BC Lion fan, your team's trailing at halftime. The BC Lions celebrating their 50th season. You were there in that first year, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I remember it so well. I mean, you're so kind, Ron. I mean, I really enjoyed my one and only game working with you.
BC Lions honoring some of their past and present and some of the great names. Norm Fieldgate. By Bailey's name is up on the Wall of Fame. The first ever game for the BC Lions was August 28, 1954 against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. By Bailey scored the first touchdown in Lions history, but Winnipeg went on to win that game 8-6. 50 years later, a few Grey Cups. Louis Pasaglia was out here tonight. Roy DeWalt. Jim Young, Dirty 30, of course, was there. They all came out in a bunch of caddies, and there's Louis' number on the Wall of Fame here.
Well, they love Louis. In fact, you know, for those of you who haven't followed Louis since retirement, he's still involved with the football team. His exact title is Director of Community Relations, and who better to do that than have Louis Pasaglia do that? I played against Jim Young, and he truly was Dirty 30. He went headhunting on any interception when he was out on offense. That's what I remember about him. Al Wilson, of course, a great center in their history. A lot of proud heritage here in BC with their football.
So the second half is underway. Good cutback there by Willie Hurst. Lions need to get it going early here, and they certainly have to protect the football. Dave Dickinson, 4 turnovers for the BC Lions, and that really is the story of this game. The numbers, Dickinson's numbers, arguably just as good as Kahari Jones, just the 1 touchdown and the 2 interceptions.
Well, the 1 interception was a ball that should have been caught by Rob Turner, and it was tipped, and Brian Clark had his first of 2 interceptions in that half. Kahari, pretty clean half, couple of touchdowns, no interceptions. He should be pleased, although I think he would like to put a lot more yardage up on the board than they did in the first half, but it's acceptable.
Dickinson came out throwing. In the second half, he hands off to Lyle Green. Lyle Green, Kitchener, Ontario native, played in Toledo. Playing in the backfield tonight with Willie Hurst. Have not seen a lot of Mark Nora, who played with Ottawa last year, UBC alum. There's Willie Hurst.
And Rod, one of the adjustments quickly on second down that the Bombers are doing here to start the third quarter is to take McGriggs and Wickman out on second and long, and they put Terry Ray and Mo Kelly in. I thought we would see that. I didn't think it would take the third quarter, but that's what they do. They put more of a speed group in there. Mo Kelly, Terry Ray replace two linebackers that don't run. They run well, but they don't run well as those two, and that's the key adjustment already we've seen here in the third quarter. There's Mo Kelly, 24. He can cover anybody, and Terry Ray, he can too, and he's a terrific linebacker, of course, well documented, released by Edmonton, and Winnipeg picked him up and adds just yet another better player to their roster.
Yeah, double shocker there. The fact that the Eskimos would release Terry Ray, and the fact that Winnipeg was able to pick him up so easily.
And you wondered how they would use him, and already you just see right now on second and long situations, they substitute those two speed linebackers into the game, and very successful. BC has to punt.
Curtis Head had a punt blocked in the first half almost again, and there is a penalty. And BC will get the ball back. Curtis Head is picking himself up off the canvas, and he is limping to the sidelines as he was met by the Blue Bombers, and it will be a roughing the kicker penalty. Marcus Howell was in on the play, a couple of players in.
Contacting the kicker. Winnipeg 82. First down.
From the outside, Marcus Howell, and I mean, he got a piece of him. That's a pretty good acting job. I mean, he just touched him in the shoulder. Gotta love those kickers. Come on, laugh. You got him.
Well, he looks like he's hurt, though.
Wow. Okay. He's a kicker. They're always hurt. What do you want? God, give me a break. The best was Bernie Ruoff. He used to wear a watch when he was out there.
That.
I mean, I thought...
You always knew what time it was.
Oh, jeez. He'll be all right. Oh, Curtis. Yeah. He'll be fine.
All right. 1st and 10 from midfield. Dickinson after the contacting the kicker penalty. Hurst in the backfield again. Give to Hurst. Up the middle. Has some room. Spinning to the 42. Big game there on the ground. 13 yards for Hurst and the Lions.
Now watch the right side of the BC Lion offense. That's Corey Mantika and Dan Payne. They just sealed down. That allows Hurst to cut back against the flow. And boy, oh boy, if they could ever get some sort of running game going tonight, that will take the pressure off Dickinson. And just, you know, what you want to do is try to control the line of scrimmage. And that time his offensive line, really the first time tonight, they really fired off the football.
1st and 10, another fumble. Dickinson got it back. And it has been a little greasy for Dave Dickinson. And the Lions, Angus Reid is the center for the BC Lions.
Well, I never blame the center. I mean, I know some quarterbacks will say, well, he gave me a lousy snap and all that stuff. But let's see. It looked like Dickinson just didn't get a handle on it. You know, sometimes the quarterback steps away a little too quickly, trying to hand it off quickly to a speed back. But I mean, I never really blame the center on those. I think the quarterback has to hang in and make sure he's got control.
We'll take a pull.
Okay.
2nd and 8. In the shotgun. Dickinson over the middle. So Rob Turner can't bring it in.
Harold Nash, you know, if he's not one of the best one-on-one guys in the league, he's right up there. I mean, he's truly a ball hawk. I can't believe he's been around for 10 years. I remember him with Shreveport. Here's second guy in at the top. See Nash break on the football. Pretty good. Boy, I remember him. Shreveport Pirates. It seems like forever ago that he was a rookie in this league, and now he's been 5 straight years with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers anchoring down their secondary.
Curtis Head. Another turnover. Might have been a bad snap, it looked like. Bombers will take over at their own 49, 50-yard line. Marvin Coleman's in. And the BC Lions bobble it again and give it up here at BC Place. NHL Draft Day tomorrow from Nashville, 1 o'clock Eastern on TSN, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Will it be Eric Stahl? Will it be Marc-Andre Fleury? Will Florida trade the pick? Who knows? Kahari Jones. Good catch made by Marcus Howell.
Stretches out nicely. Marcus Howell to the right of your screen. 38 catches for Howell last year. Really a guy you don't talk about much in the Winnipeg offense. There's so many other superstars, but Marcus Howell in his 4th year gets the job done. There he is, number 2. Just gets a little push off the line of scrimmage, and that's a good catch.
2nd and 3 now for the Bombers after the Lions give the ball up again on that miscue with Casey Printers, who was the holder and had the kicker. Had never had a chance. Mike Sellers nowhere to go. So that will bring out Troy Westwood to punt it away. Carl Kidd on the play, bringing down big Mike Sellers. And you know what? I don't know how you do that without using a mechanical device. Some heavy artillery to bring down this guy.
Well, the mechanical device was 95 Cameron Legault up front, because he got the penetration to really mess up the blocking scheme initially, and that allowed Carl Kidd and the rest to come in and make the play. I mean, that's not a lot of fun tackling a 270-pound guy, is it? Well, you wouldn't know, would you?
No.
I just assume it's not a lot of fun.
No, never done it. Westwood, line drive. Vitolo along the sidelines. It's provided a little spark tonight for the BC Lions. 17-yard return. 20-10 Winnipeg here at BC Place. BC Lions could use this guy tonight. 46 catches and 6 touchdowns last year. He was the Rookie of the Year in the CFL, and he's with Farhan Lalji.
Thanks, Rod. 10 points for the BC Lions early in the 3rd quarter. One reason, Jason Claremont not in the lineup. 2nd-degree MCL tear. How you feeling right now?
Feeling a little left out. You know, it's tough for me. I don't think I've ever really missed a game in my life, and it's a little tough to stand on the sidelines. But you know, with some of the mistakes we've made, we're still in this ball game, and you know, that's a testament to our defense and the character of some of our players. So
yeah, I want to ask you about the play of your quarterback, and you had some time with him during training camp. Once yourself and Chris Brazil get back, how good can this offense be under Dave Dickinson?
The offense can be just as good right now. We've got some great receivers in there right now taking our places, and you know, it's just a matter of maybe getting some chemistry and those sorts of things. Dave's really standing in there and taking some hits today and being a trooper, and you know, they're trying to make some plays, but it's just not happening.
They said 4 to 6 weeks for Jason Claremont. He hopes to be back in about 3, guys.
Well, they're going to have decisions to make when Jason Claremont and Chris Brazel come back. Frank Catolo's done a pretty good job returning tonight. Made a catch there. Dickinson airs it out sideline. Catolo pulled it in. And they're saying it's a catch. The Bombers are saying it's out of bounds. Let's take a look. 26-yard gain, and it's a catch.
Frank Catolo working on Ricky Bell on the outside. Watch the concentration. This is a terrific throw for starters and a terrific catch.
Wow.
Well, there he's got it.
Frank Catolo has made his presence felt here. His first game with the Lions. And now 1st and 10 for Dickinson and the Leos at the 49.
Well, and the Lions are going to need a bunch of those kind of plays here in the second half. I mean, when you give up 5 turnovers, okay, it's over and done with. You're only down by 10, but I really believe if they want to win this football, they got to play error-free, and they have to have plays like Frank Catolo just made, and a bunch of them.
Dickinson gives it to Hurst. Flag on the play at the line of scrimmage. Dave Ritchie and Wally Bono. Good friends, by the way.
Winnipeg 25. First down repeated.
And a couple of guys who have seen it all in the CFL and through their football careers. Ritchie back at his old haunt. Won the Grey Cup here in '94, was fired in '95. Penalties tonight, Winnipeg 8 for almost 90 yards. Turnovers have been costly for the Lions. Need to hang on to the football and bring it to the end zone. 9 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Play action. Dickinson. Catch is made. Brett Anderson again. Brett Anderson's done a nice job on a couple of slash patterns here tonight.
Well, Brett Anderson's had a great night. Here he is. He just works inside and then pirouettes back to the outside. Now, Mo Kelly's got him in coverage, but again, when you get Dickinson outside the pocket there, now he moves. Good lane to throw in. Kelly can't stay with him, and all of a sudden the BC Lions have got a nice drive going. 4 catches. Yeah, not bad.
From the 33 now. Here come the Bombers. Dump pass off to Geroy Simon. And he picks up about 4 or 5 yards.
Well, once again, Tommy Europe, there he is right at the top, and Dickinson sees him coming. What does he have to do? Get rid of it quickly. Geroy Simon recognizes that. He breaks off his pattern, goes to the outside. He knows blitz is coming. We'll get to the outside, and that's great offense. It's only a 5-yard gain, but it's a positive gain against a tough blitz that you can't really pick up.
Simon's on the near side, had the touchdown earlier for BC. Over the middle again. And once again, it's Catolo. And they move the chains into the red zone.
And you know what Wally Buono said yesterday to me? He said, look, I hope Winnipeg comes and brings tons of pressure all night long because I think Dave Dickinson and my receivers can handle it. Here's Catolo again, and he just goes back outside, and this is what they want to do. Boom, there he is. He goes back to the outside. Bring a lot of people because we think we can recognize it quickly and hit those receivers quickly as he just did to Catolo and the play before Geroy Simon, and we can hurt that defense. And they put a nice drive together doing it.
Can they take it to the end zone now? Dickinson. And he is snowed under. Inoki Brechterfield in on the tackle, lost his helmet there. But a couple of Bombers in on the sack.
Well, Tyson St. James was there. They get pressure off both corners. Here's St. James. Here's Brechterfield. They kind of have a team meeting back here on Dave Dickinson, but that's pretty good pressure from your outside guys. Here it comes. There's Brechterfield. Finally gets the hit, and St. James was in there too.
Native of the Hawaiian Islands, Inoki Brechterfield. It'll be 2nd and 18 now on the 28. Catolo comes to the near side. Simon is with him. The crossing pattern. Over the middle, and another touchdown for Geroy Simon. 28-yard touchdown for Simon. Nice pattern, Leif Pedersen, and a good toss by Dickinson.
And I'll tell you what, the little things win you football games or get you back into a football game, and Willie Hurst picked up Brian Clark just enough on the blitz to allow Dickinson the time to pick out Geroy Simon. Not a bad average tonight. 4 catches, a couple for touchdowns.
I think he's liking Dave Dickinson in his lineup. Last year was Damon Allen. This year it's Dave Dickinson. Geroy Simon has a couple of touchdowns. This one was sweet. 2017 on TSN.
Boy, it's the little things that win you football games. Look at Willie Hurst, the running back. Here comes Clark on the blitz. Now, he doesn't knock him to the ground, but he gets just enough of them. And if he doesn't recognize this and get a piece of him just enough, Dickinson doesn't get this ball off. He steps up, he finds Simon. They get a touchdown at a critical point in the game. But that little play by Willie Hurst won't show up in the box score, but that's a huge reason why they just got a touchdown.
Charles Roberts into some orange BC Lion defenders on the special teams, and the Bombers will begin there. 5:46 to go in the third quarter, and now it's a 3-point ball game.
Well, Rod, you know, as you looked at that game, when we talked before the game started tonight, like, what does BC have to do? Well, Geroy Simon has to have a big game, we said, and, you know, he's come through with a couple of touchdown catches, and, you know, on a receiving corps that's got a couple of rookies, he's got to be a leader, and he's certainly done that.
Geroy Simon played 17 games last year for the Lions. Do you know how many touchdowns he had?
I'm going to know, I think, in a second.
2. He has matched last year's season total here tonight. Kahari Jones over to Charles Roberts. Has some room now. Little stutter step. And a first down for Roberts. Baron Simpson on the play. What a night.
And you know, Rod, this is one of these games where if you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and you've led throughout, you've had 5 turnovers, you got a bunch of points off those turnovers, but you're only ahead by 3 points. You have to be a little concerned because the BC Lions, you know, old Mo has made a bit of a switch here. BC's come back.
We're not talking about El Manibi.
No.
Handoff to Roberts. Well, you know, you give up the football 5 times as well. But it's been a strange starting week in the CFL. And I think, you know, sometimes rust or mistakes, and it can go either way. And it has here tonight.
Well, I mean, if you think you're Winnipeg, pretty much everything's gone their way. They're just kind of sitting there thinking, well, we're going to win this game. You know, it's no problem. We're 12-6 last year. We get all these great players on our team, which they do. But all of a sudden, there's some concern on Dave Ritchie's face because he hopes his guys realize they're in a fight.
2nd and 7 for Winnipeg. Kahari Jones over the middle. Milt Stegall looks like he may have been interfered with, and he was. Late flag.
Tony Walker got a little cloth as Milt was trying to break to the post, and he might have been well advised to do that because there was no help in the middle, and Stegall had a step on him. Here's 39, left of your screen. Watch this right here. That's just enough. Stegall actually looked like he hurt himself a little
pass
bit.
interference. BC 39.
There it is, Milt Stegall and Tony Walker. That's like one of those plays, though, in hockey when you pull down a guy on a breakaway because you know he's going to score. Milt Stegall was gone.
I think he was. The middle was vacated. Mark Washington had left it, and Tony Walker, although you never like to have a penalty called against you, that wasn't all bad. But again, it keeps a nice drive going from Winnipeg, and they'd like nothing more than to answer that touchdown by G. Roy Simon with one of their own.
One-on-one, Milt Stegall may be the only uncoverable receiver in the CFL. Ladarius Ban, his first catch as a Blue Bomber, only a 3-yard pickup. Eric Carter right there to stuff him.
Well, we haven't talked about Eric Carter much tonight, and he is one of my all-time favorites as a one-on-one cover guy. And that time, as Ladarius Van caught it, he was right there to meet him. Very little gain. He's a tough guy, Eric Carter, out in the corner, and he's trying to get this crowd into it. This is a big play, 2nd and 8.
Bobby Gordon on the near side. Favorite target tonight for Jones. Goes the other way. Wide open. Marcus Howell. Touchdown, Blue Bombers. And here comes the dance troupe again. Diving catch by Marcus Howell. 2nd and 7, a 35-yard major score.
Well, and all good teams like to do this, and more often than not, they're able to do it. And Winnipeg answers the score with one of their own. A mix-up in the secondary between Eric Carter and Brandon Godsey, and all of a sudden Marcus Howell stretches out, makes a beautiful catch in his first TD of the year.
There's the 3rd touchdown toss by Kahari Jones.
Well, Kahari's quietly had himself quite a night. 3 touchdowns, no blemishes. Pretty workmanlike job for Kahari Jones tonight.
Again, we talked about the fact that Kahari Jones is really, it's his show this year. Pat Barnes is not around, the backup from last year. He's in Los Angeles, a phone call away apparently. Here's Eric Carter, and we have a ISO with Marcus Howell.
Well, he's got Van on the outside, and all of a sudden he realizes there's a mistake on the inside, and somebody doesn't pick up, and he can't get there and recover and help his teammate out. Yeah, Kahari knows that was a good throw. He led his man perfectly, and a nice catch by Howell.
Born and raised in Winnipeg. Blue Bombers now up 27-17. Now it's bounce back time for Wally Buono and the Lions, who trail by 10. Let's go down to Farhan Louji.
Thanks, Rod. The last 2 Winnipeg completions, both long passes over the middle. One actually the pass interference in front of Milt Stegall, and then, of course, Howell with the touchdown pass. Keep in mind, Mark Washington, the Lions starting safety, is out of this game. He got hurt on the touchdown late in the second quarter that Winnipeg scored. They're calling it a concussion. They thought he'd be back. The symptoms got worse during halftime. I talked to him a few minutes ago. He says, I know your name. You're Leif Pettersson.
Well, we look such alike, Farhead. I could see where he'd be confused.
Here come the Lions. Leroy Simon along the sideline. Lions with 2:43 to go here in the third quarter.
Well, Farhan talked about the injury, and that means Brandon Godsey comes in the middle. And, you know, if he's playing middle safety, if he's in a zone, he's got to get back here and help out. And as this play unfolds, you'll see he really doesn't get the depth. It's not his natural position. And Marcus Howell's able to get over the top. Looked like Carter was the victim, but I really believe Carter just left his man and realized what went wrong, and Godsey just didn't get there.
So now Dickinson back to work again. The Bombers answer quickly on the score by the Lions. Just when they had momentum going their way, the Bombers seize it right back. And coming right back is Willie Hurst. And a first down for BC up to their 49-yard line.
First time we've seen a screen tonight, and well executed by the BC offensive line. The biggest thing you want to do is make the defensive line think, hey, they've got through, I'm going to get a sack. All of a sudden you peel off, you get some blockers in front, and a good first down call for Dave Dickinson. Love the screen when you've got a very active front seven rushing against you.
Inside 2 minutes now. Dickinson again in the shotgun. Katola on the near side with Leroy Simon. Has some time, lobs it up, no one there. There's the scoring drive for the Lions. 8 plays, 78 yards. 4.5 minutes, and Katola had a 26-yard catch. Simon's 28-yard touchdown brought them closer, but then Winnipeg answered.
Yeah, unfortunately, that 20 for Winnipeg is now 27 because they answered with one of their own.
Leroy Simon already matching all of last year's touchdown totals with his 2 tonight. 2nd and 10. Dickinson wide open on the sidelines is Thelwell. Another first down. They'll move the chains once again.
Well, you know, if you're trying to assess Dave Dickinson in his first game back after a 2-year hiatus, I think you'd have to be pretty pleased with the job that he's done. Steve Barrato, the offensive coordinator, and Wally Buono, his head coach. I mean, listen, he's not going to come out and set the world on fire, but I mean, he hasn't made a lot of mistakes. He's thrown a couple of nice touchdowns to Simon, and I think for the most part in 3 quarters of football, he's done a pretty good job. There's certainly a lot of light at the end of the tunnel.
Willie Hurst. There's a little bit of light on that round. There's Jacques Chapdelaine. Worked with Wally Buono in Calgary before he was let go.
And he's handling the receivers here, and he has a good group to work with. I thought it was interesting to hear Jason Claremont's comments about the guys that were in there tonight. He said, look, they're terrific players in their own right. Yeah, we'd like to be playing, but you know, I think Frank Catola's shown some stuff tonight, and Rob Turner, jury's still out on him, but they sure got some great guys waiting in the wings to round out this receiving corps.
Might be the final play here of this third quarter. Oh, they get one more. 7 seconds to go. Willie Hurst was wide open.
And there's been a couple of plays like that when you assess the play of Dave Dickinson that I know he would like to have over, and that is rust, because that was a great formation. You got trips to each side of the field, clearing out with guys underneath, and that's a ball that needs to be completed. He knows it. Look at him.
Well, they will try here on the last play of the third quarter. A 45-yard field goal. The last time they set up, Casey Printers bobbled the snap. Here's Curtis Head now. Strong enough and good enough. So the Lions strike on the final play of the third quarter. They trail by a converted touchdown here at BC Place. Let's send it back to CFL Control and Dave Randorf. Well, thank you, guys. Third quarter ended with Curtis Head booting one through the uprights. The fourth quarter will begin with him kicking one to the Blue Bombers.
What do you think if you said to Wally Buono before the game started you'd give up 5 turnovers and you'd only trail by 7 in the fourth quarter? Do you think he'd take it?
I think he'd take that for
you
sure.
Bet he would.
There's Charles Roberts. Pretty quiet in that third quarter, Roberts was. But he can break one at any time. Oh, and he fumbles the football. Looks like the Bombers recovered. He was hit hard. Inoki Brechterfield recovered for Winnipeg. Let's take another look, Lee.
Well, Roberts sticks it up, and they are very fortunate right here. Off balance, a hit from behind by number 28. Lyle Green, the fullback, playing the special teams, and they were very fortunate. These numbers are so shocking because, I mean, you think
they don't make sense.
Well, Winnipeg's been pretty proficient on offense, but look at old BC come storming back with 255 total offense, and, you know, clearly the key of this game is right there, 5 turnovers.
Jones hands to Roberts. Left side. And really works hard to pick up 6.
You know what, Rod? This is the point in the game. There's Brechterfield. He's had a pretty good game, but this is the point in the game. It's 27-20. There is a sense of urgency on both sides of the football, but here's where Charles Roberts can take over a game, whether it be on the ground or whether you clear out and get some short passes to him. Heck, he caught 55 balls last year. He's a great receiver. I think if I'm Kahari, this is the guy that I just finally take control with the game with and get Roberts the football time and time again.
Second down now. Lost the football. Looks like Winnipeg got it back. And so now the Blue Bombers will boot it away again, and the BC will have a chance early in this fourth quarter try to rally back and tie this football game.
Wow, goodness. I mean, I know it's early in the year, but I don't expect this from veteran quarterbacks. This is probably Dickinson's had a couple. This is the first one for Kahari, and, you know, this is just sloppy.
Bombers fortunate to hang on to that twice there. First Charles Roberts, then Kahari Jones. There's Frank Vitolo. Nice debut so far for him tonight. He's back with G. Roy Simon. Westwood gets it off, a short punt this time. Bouncing to Vitolo on the sidelines, and he's out of bounds. It is 27-20. This is Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN. Well, I think it's a cool feature. Don't forget to vote for the Rogers AT&T Wireless Player of the Game, and you can do that via the internet or go to CFL.ca or use text messaging on your phone. Go CFL, enter the initial and the number, like you could put in Winnipeg W84 for Bobby Gordon, BC81 maybe for G. Roy Simon, maybe BC12 for Dave Dickinson. We don't know how this one's going to end here tonight, though. Willie Hurst up the middle. Picks up 3 yards. So you can vote for the player of the game.
It's pretty cool.
Like that a lot.
Do we get to override him if we don't like the vote?
Well, there could be some
probably
vote,
not.
Some vote stuffing, ballot stuffing. But it's a popular choice. So, you know what I really like? I like the lion's paw on the helmets for the BC Lions here.
Yeah, I like that too.
Do you like the orange?
Except it's tough to read the numbers. I don't mind the color.
2nd and 6. Dickinson. And that one was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Looked like he had Katola on a breakout pattern.
You know, it's interesting what Winnipeg can do with all this great extra personnel they have. Lamar McGriggs did not play first down. They take Tyson St. James, the defensive end, out on second down. Give a 3-man front look, but they bring McGriggs in and they bring 5 people still. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are blessed with so much talent in the secondary and that linebacking core that they have the flexibility to do so many different things and give the offensive line and backs so many different looks. I mean, Dave Donaldson was in as a dime back. You have 4 linebackers in there coming from all over the place. And, I mean, they're a tough team to recognize who you're going to block against.
So here's Curtis Head again. Remember, early in the game, he had one blocked. No problem this time. He's done a nice job keeping the ball away from Charles Roberts are making him go to the sideline. No running room again for Charles Roberts. Let's go down to Farhan Laji. Farhan.
Thanks, Rod. Keep in mind, with all the problems the Lions have had on their punt team and field goal team with snaps and protection and holds, they're also playing with an injured kicker on that first block punt. Early in the game, Curtis Head injured his kicking leg in the back of the knee. I talked to him about it. He said he hyperextended it. It hurts every time he kicks, but it's not keeping him from kicking, and the guy's going to tough it out, which is a surprise, because if you look at this kid, he looks like the youngest player in the league. I don't think he was alive when Leaf started his career.
He looks like he just came out of Pop Warner. He's on the bike right now. See, he was hurt, Leaf. He was hurt.
He's going to save on razor blades. He doesn't need any.
First and 10 on the 25. Out of the backfield, big Mike Sellers. Oh, my.
You can feel the ground shake, can't you?
Oh, yeah. He was hurt. The kicker was hurt. I told you.
Okay, he was hurt. All right. Let's not forget the kicker.
Let's check the Sport Check game story tonight. Brought to you by Sport Check, Canada's largest sporting goods retailer. Sport Check, the best value.
Well, there it is. A couple of receivers with 2 touchdowns tonight. Bobby Gordon, G-Roy Simon, and probably the biggest key right there is 17 points off turnovers. To me, that's always the killer. Kahari's had a pretty clean evening, but the killer is what do you do off turnovers? And Winnipeg's been very efficient.
Jones. There's Gordon again. Big night. And a flag.
And that's a good call. That's a great call. That I believe that was Brandon Gotze, the middle safety that came over and made the tackle. And boy, when he's out of bounds, leave him alone. I mean, don't do this. All you do is hurt your team. And here's Gotze in the middle. There he is. He's going to come all the way across and finally make the play. And Bobby Gordon, a bootleg, and Gordon just drags across the field. And this is kind of silly right here. You know, you see out of bounds. You know where he is. You don't have to give it that extra. And all you do is hurt your team.
Unnecessary roughness against Gotze, filling in for Mark Washington, the former Alouette who had a Grey Cup ring last year. So Gotze puts his team in a hole here. Net 35 on the play. Interesting, Bobby Gordon's catch was the 11th completion of the night for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 3 of those completions have gone for touchdowns, 2 to Gordon. Jones again, first and 10 on the 35. Roberts. He's hit hard, and he gets about 8 or 9. O'Kimmy on the tackle.
Well, you know what? Here's where Charles Roberts can take over. I mean, how in the world did he get away from Herman Smith coming in from the outside? I mean, Smith wasn't blocked. You figure this one out. Sorry, Smith to the outside of that player, but my, oh my, Roberts is so elusive coming out of that backfield, and he should have been stopped in the backfield for no gain, and yet he gained 7.
Motion in the backfield again. Roberts on the handoff. Up the middle. Stumbles. Takes it. Will take it to the end zone for a touchdown. How did he do that?
Well, there again reinforces. This was Charles Roberts' time. You get into fourth quarter, you're in a tight game. Give it to the game breaker. You can talk about Milt Stegall being the MVP and all that stuff, but for my money, Charles Roberts is the guy that brings them so much punch in their offense. Good blocking up front. Nice cut right to the outside. Brandon Gotze still trying to find him. And that was a pretty classy move right there.
And that's why they call him Blink. Blink and you miss him. Scoring play, 28 yards. There was a penalty after the play. Guys were jabbering down there to one another.
What's up, Kristen? Isaiah? Hey, honey, I love you.
He's a great player. I love to watch him, and you know, whether he's catching it or running it, I mean, he just simply gets the job done game in and game out.
First rushing touchdown of the night, of the season, for Charles Roberts and the Blue Bombers, who've opened up a 34-20 lead. What a run by Tiny Roberts. Well, Charles Roberts probably talking to Paul LaPolice upstairs in the Blue Bomber brass. 10 carries, 68 yards, a CFL All-Star last year. All-world, really, Charles Roberts. What a run there. Bombers lead now by 14.
I mean, he's a tough guy to find coming out of that when he gets through the line. I mean, he's a small guy and a powerful runner, and he's tough to see. And Well, I just love the way he plays.
Willie Hurst brings it up to the 22-yard line.
Well, he does so many things well for them. I mean, second last year to John Avery in rushing, well over 1,000 yards, 1162. And Paul LaPolice knows he has a lot of weapons. Probably the toughest thing he has to do is try to keep everybody happy.
I guess,
and that is a tough thing to do.
I was going to
sometimes.
say, and you've been around the game a long time, and this is a team loaded with talent. Perhaps more so than any other team in the CFL. And how do you make everybody
well, you have to find a balance. And the fourth quarter, when you got a lead, is Charles Roberts' time. So they used him wisely there.
Lots of time left, though, for the Lions. They need to score, though. Dickinson. He finds Rob Turner.
And I think if you're Winnipeg right now, what you want to do is force Dave Dickinson to complete a lot of balls to try to get him back into this game. They trail by 14, and Dickinson knows he doesn't want to force it downfield if it's not there. And you know what? Those numbers aren't too shabby for his first game back tonight. I mean, he'd love to have the 2 picks back, but not too shabby. But I think Winnipeg's going to make him put a long drive together and complete a bunch of passes if he's going to score. Don't look for anything over the top.
2nd and 5 from his 26. There it is again to Hurst.
Well, that's the way Winnipeg's going to play. They'll still be aggressive on the corners. That's what they like to do. But I think they're going to say to Dave, if you want to score, you're going to have to complete about 8 or 10 balls on this drive to do it.
There's Doug Brown, All-Star, Lamar McGreg's, Tommy Europe, their free safety.
168th game tonight. Other than Troy Westwood, the kicker, he has played the most games in the CFL of any Bomber on that roster tonight.
And played in the 94 Grey Cup win with Dave Ritchie and the Lions. And there is a flag. Interference all over the middle. Brett Anderson.
And I've been impressed with Brett Anderson. To the right of your screen, it's Milo Lewis, 21. And does he get a hand in there?
Winnipeg 21. First down.
Oh, I don't know. The right hand was on the hip of Anderson all the way. But
well, Dave Dickinson with the numbers tonight. There's Brett Anderson. Attendance, by the way, tonight, 20,191 here in BC. The goal for the Lions, you know, getting Wally Buono and getting Calvin Anderson and Dave Dickinson is also to put butts in the seats. And that's the thing here, the 2 big markets. We saw the commissioner, the new commissioner, Tom Wright.
Tom stopped in for a minute. Great guy. And, you know, he'll have his hands full controlling all these governors in the league. But if there's anybody that can do it, it is Tom Wright. He's a consensus builder. He's a strong decision maker. I mean, I'm a big fan of Tom Wright's, and I think he'll do a great job.
Coach Ritchie looking out. Injured Bomber on the field. But Dave Dickinson, if he can do what he did in Calgary, certainly brings some people back to BC plays. There is the commissioner. There's Lyle Bauer to the commissioner's left, the president of the Blue Bombers. Talking with him. Tom Wright took over as commissioner.
Just so you don't confuse Tom Wright
there he is.
With Lyle Bauer, I just want to make this perfectly clear that Lyle Bauer is on the right. But Tom's a great guy, Tom Wright. Got a lot of time for him and did a great job when he was president of Adidas Canada. And, before that, he ran Solomon. And he's had some exciting games to watch this week, Rod. I'm sure he's been trying to bid at most of them.
It was a wild one. The Alouettes beating Calgary, and yes, he was at that game. Saskatchewan, what a comeback. Corey Grant.
Unbelievable. What a run he made.
He did. And then tonight it was the Renegades over Hamilton 27-17. That was Brian Clark. Big night for him. Couple of picks. And looks like he's okay. Dickinson. Pump fake. Runs up the middle. Lots of room. Dave Dickinson head down. Big gain for the Lions. Don't count them out yet. 20-yard pickup.
And his mobility, Rod, is totally underrated. He did a great job to get away from Ryland Wickman, number 55, coming on the blitz. Watch it right there. Spin move, and he's through the pocket, and my, oh my, he shows some pretty good speed downfield. The C's open up when you're in man-to-man coverage. There's not a lot of support when the quarterback runs, and that was a huge play.
From the 39, 1st and 10. Lions trying to engineer a comeback. Loads of time left, 7.5 in the fourth quarter. Wide open. Patolo trying to make a move on Coleman. He does. It steps out of bounds. Picks up the first down, and Frank Patolo is becoming a fan favorite already here in BC and is very close to a first down. It's an 8-yard pickup.
Well, I asked Jacques Chapdelaine, the receivers coach, before the game, tell me about your young guys. And he said, Leaf, you will be pleasantly surprised when you see Frank Patolo tonight. And, well, I'll tell you, his kick return off the missed field goal was really a little mini turning point in this game. And there's Jacques, and, of course, offensive coordinator in Calgary last year. Wally brought him with him. He's a great guy and won a Vanier Cup with Laval a few years ago. He's got a lot of knowledge, and he's a good young Canadian coach.
2nd and 2 from the 31. Dickinson in the shotgun. Throwing. And Geroy Simon can't hang on. And Dickinson wants to go for it.
Yeah, and I think they should. I really believe when you're playing a team like Winnipeg and you're trailing by 14, just under 7 minutes to go, you get into what essentially is scoring territory. Now I think you have to go, and I'm sure Wally's going to do just that. This isn't much of a choice.
Interesting decision there on 2nd and 2 at the 31 to throw it up, but Dickinson has been operating from the shotgun for most of the night. Now 3rd and 2. You think this is the ball game here? Lobs it up wide open, but too far for Catolo. So the Bombers will take over and will take a break. 34-20, Winnipeg on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Well, Bobby Gordon, a couple of touchdown catches. Geroy Simon, a couple of TD catches for the Lions. Bombers right there, circle it. Leif Pedersen,
is the game story in one line. You just can't do that to a team like Winnipeg and expect to win.
You've been missing that telestrator the last couple of years, haven't you?
I've had nothing to draw at home. I can't draw on my own TV at home. I've ruined it.
I was going to ask you, do you have one of those at home still? All right. 6 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Kahari Jones. I love that telestrator. Look at that.
Well, this is it. No. Hey, get out of there. You're not allowed to use it. That is my personal tell. You stay away from that thing.
I always wanted to do that.
Well, that's your one shot there.
Nice to have Leif Pedersen calling CFL football.
Well, thank you. This has been fun tonight. You always anticipate, what kind of game is it going to be? Is it going to be a blowout? Is it going to be a close one? And I think there was a lot of question marks, obviously, with BC. Winnipeg, we knew they're going to be a great team, and they're going to be true contenders in the West. But this is a lot of fun tonight. It's fun to get back in the saddle.
You know what's, I think, really good for the league is to see Dave Dickinson back in the CFL.
Without question. Without question. You need stars. You need quarterbacks, obviously, and he is a terrific quarterback and just going to get better and better.
Sellers, nowhere to go on 1st and 10. Baron Simpson. I guess we can call him Pastor Simpson. He became an ordained minister. Baron Simpson.
Well, you look at BC, too. I mean, this is a good defense. I mean, they've given up 34 points tonight, but that's really not indicative of how well they played. I mean, 17 points off turnovers, but this is a good BC defense. They've got lots to build on, and I think this is going to be a tough team to play against throughout the course of this season.
Lions have had the last 2 rookie of the years in the CFL. Jones on the run. Marcus Howell can't make the catch, so the Bombers will give up the football here with 4:25 to go.
Yeah, and don't write BC off by any stretch.
This is the CFL.
With 4:25 to go. I mean, it could be one punt return right now, or it could be some silly play, but, you know, this is certainly a good enough team to come back in the last few minutes of a game.
And here's how it has played out through the quarters. Even Steven through one. Wally Buono. So many years in Calgary. I was surprised he didn't bring the horse with him. Must look down after touchdowns and wonder, where is that? Oh, yeah, it's not here. Almost blocked. Big punt by Westwood. Patolo nowhere to go. Down at the 5. Mo Kelly. Big touchdown, and the Mo right now, all with Winnipeg. Well, the Lions have almost 100 yards to go here. Trailing 34-20. Dickinson steps up. Hit there by Brechterfield. And flags in the secondary as Dickinson was stepping up, trying to get out of the pocket.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Winnipeg number 2. First down.
Dave Donaldson penalized. So the Lions move the yardsticks, get out of the hole, shadows of their end zone.
And Dave Donaldson was in there. They were going with the extra defensive back, and now they've gone back to more traditional where they 3 linebackers in, only 5 defensive backs.
Quick pass to Patolo. That's his only blemish really tonight. He's played very well, but should have had that ball.
Well, a good night for the most part for the young rookie, and I don't know. He's going to be a good one. He's got lots of speed, good on special teams, and it's too bad he dropped that one right there. But I think for all in all, he's had a pretty successful start to his career.
2nd and 10 for the Lions. Any hopes of engineering a comeback here rest on this possession, you'd think. And they will have to punt it away. 3:05 to go in this 4th quarter. Lots of turnovers. Some big plays by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, particularly defensively.
Well, Mo Kelly got them off to a great start with that block punt. You get a tip here, and first of 2 interceptions on the night by Brian Clark. My, oh my, they have a lot of weapons on defense. And in fact, Rod, you know, when you look at this game, I mean, Dave Ritchie's team could win this game on defense. They didn't have to have a super offensive night. They had a pretty good offensive night, but they can steal a game at any time just by their defensive play.
It is going to be wild in the West. Curtis Head, end-over-end kick here for Roberts. You know the Edmonton Eskimos are going to be a force in the West, and no yards call. And this will be the 3-minute warning as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers look to launch their season with a W here at BC Place. 34-20 they lead. Well, it's down to the wire here for player of the game voting. You can vote on the internet. Go to CFL.ca. Do it right now. Or use text messaging on your phone. Phone right now. Enter the initial. Maybe it's W84 for Bobby Gordon. W17 maybe for Kahari Jones.
I'm kind of leaning that way.
Yeah.
W17.
W1, Charles Roberts.
Well, that's not bad either.
Yeah. W48 for Brian Clark. Big game. If they don't get those early interceptions, set the wheels in motion. Jones still throwing. Chased down. Knocked down. But Bobby Gordon, a couple of big catches. And let's look back at it, Leaf.
Well, he had a great night. Started off in the first quarter with this touchdown reception, and it was interesting. You and I talked to the offensive coordinator, Paul LaFelice, before the game, and he only got to see Bobby for a few games last year before he broke his arm, and Paul simply said, you know, I didn't know how good he was. You know, I thought he was pretty good, but since I've had him for a whole training camp and preseason, he said, I think he's really good. And there's Paul on the right up there along with Gene Gaines, the defensive coordinator. But he has a whole new respect for Bobby Gordon and how well he can play.
Jones gives it off to Sellers. Does a hurdle at the 50. But that will be it for Winnipeg. Kahari Jones able to avoid the pressure. It looked like he was going to get sacked. And then giving it to Sellers. And Kari has a smile.
Well, I'm not really sure with a couple of minutes to go why he's still dropping back and doesn't just give it to Roberts. But the blitz was coming, and Carl Kidd gets there. And Brandon Godsey, that's not a lot of fun.
No,
but he makes the play, and BC with 2:06 to go will still get yet another chance.
Troy Westwood back to punt, and he's done a pretty good job tonight with...
I think he's done a great job.
Yeah, and his dual role now with Bob Cameron no longer with the Blue Bombers.
His key will be how does he punt in Winnipeg when that wind starts howling. I mean, this is nice in here. And I think he'll probably do pretty well because he can drive the football as he just did on that punt right there to get it out of bounds. But I think Troy Westwood will be just fine.
Well, he may have learned from the best in punting into the wind, and Bobby Cameron. And,
boy, he was.
Yeah, he was. Next week, next Thursday, we will be in Edmonton. The Stampeders and the Eskimos talk about a team, another team loaded with talent and loaded for bear. The Eskimos, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific time.
And it'll be interesting to see John Avery, who led the league in rushing a year ago, is no longer there. He is south of the border, but they have a rejuvenated Mike Pringle. And Pringle has a lot to prove, and I still think he's got a little bit of gas in the tank.
Be interesting to see those Edmonton-Montreal matchups. Shovel pass up the middle. There's a fumble, no whistle. BC got it back, it looks like, with 1:35 to go. Dave Dickinson right in the middle of that scrum. Here are the numbers. Look at the pressure that he faced tonight, Leaf.
Yeah, he did. And, I mean, you know you're going to get that. When you play Winnipeg, you expect to get certainly some hurries. And you know you're going to get some hits. And I thought he's stood up pretty well to it tonight.
Dickinson throwing over the middle. Simon again, staying on his feet, finally down. Dave Dickinson has spent the last couple of years in the NFL. Geroy Simon spent a couple of years in Winnipeg and last couple of seasons with BC, and big night for him.
Well, you know, he really made a huge play here. This was after the long missed field goal return by Catola when BC desperately needed some offense. He delivered. He delivers again on this play, and you know, for you, he's the big gunner, and he came through.
Wide side to Felwell. BC Lions, remember a year ago, Leaf, they started the season 1-5. It did not look good. Wally Buono is the new man here now, and trying to resurrect this Lion team.
Well, Wally won't like this game because there was a lot of sloppy stuff, and he's a perfectionist, you know. But the good news for Wally is, and I think if he was being totally honest, he's probably not surprised at the outcome tonight. They did not play well in preseason. But think of this. He's got Brazel coming back. He's got Kelvin Anderson ready if they need him. I mean, that's not a slam dunk either. And then they got Jason Claremont. So they got a lot of help on the way, and there's nothing wrong with this defense.
Willie Hurst.
I know that's not your job.
Big game there with a minute to go. Winnipeg Blue Bombers always lightning out of the gate in a season. They were 12-6 last year, 14-4. On the media guide last year, it said unfinished business. They never got to the Grey Cup last year. This is a team built for one purpose and one purpose only, and it's not to get to the Grey Cup game. It's to win the Grey Cup.
To win the Grey Cup. This is a hungry group. They talked about that in the warm-up tonight out on the field, that they are a hungry bunch of guys that want to get back there and win it all. And there's no reason why they can't. They've certainly got as good a chance as anybody in this league. And you know, I mean, everybody can say on paper Winnipeg's a far better team than BC tonight, but you know what? The bottom line is BC's got a good defense. You're opening on the road, which is never an easy place to open and get your first win, and I think Winnipeg's done a terrific job. They're a fun team to watch, too. I mean, you know, when you broadcast games, if you could pick a handful of teams, I mean, I wouldn't mind doing a lot of Winnipeg games because they get so much firepower. And they got this guy.
Well, there was a game last year that we did. It looked like the Blue Bombers against Calgary, they looked like they were done in this game. And somehow, because of that arsenal, we're able to come back. Fans were leaving. The Bombers came back. The fans came back to the stadium. And in overtime, they won it. They turned their season around, too. They were in a bit of a slump at the time. 50 seconds to go here. And there's Cotolo. Wally Buono will see his former team next week. We'll see Dave Dickinson's former team. Pride of Montana. Great Falls, Dave Dickinson says his hero is Montana, Joe Montana, through the years, and kind of stylized his game after Joe Montana. You know, came from the same high school. A few years later, another good high school quarterback came along who they projected to be great. And he was number 2 overall in the NFL draft. It's hard to believe what happened to Ryan Leaf. Same hometown, same high school. Another Charger. G-Roy Simon tries to break one. Lions, and I'll tell you, Wally Buono has to like this too. Still have some bite.
Well, they're trying, and they're trying hard. I mean, time is certainly the biggest factor against them right now with only 30 seconds remaining, and the clock will move. But his team is not giving up.
Dickinson over the middle. I don't know if that was the intended receiver, but it worked. G-Roy Simon hauls it in at the 6.
And I mean, they do have a timeout when they whistle in. The clock will start. 21 seconds remaining. G-Roy Simon with a terrific opening night to his season tonight.
Well, he got a quick touchdown here. Onside kick. You never know in the Canadian Football League.
Oh, 21. They need to score right here, though. This has to be the play.
Dickinson knocked away. Dave Donaldson taking it away from Brett Anderson.
Well, time, unfortunately, is tough on their side now. And Donaldson, number 2, good play right here to knock it away. But I really think that BC had to score. It's 14 seconds. You know, you'd still have to go through convert, which won't take any time. But the onside kickoff, once the ball is touched, you'll lose a few seconds. And, I mean, a valiant effort, but I think just a little too much uphill.
2nd and goal with 14 seconds to go. Trying to make it a little closer, the final tally. Dickinson again. Deep in the end zone and a touchdown to Frank Cotolo. Putting the capper on a nice night for Cotolo with 7 seconds to go.
Well, let's be the eternal optimist for Wally Buono right here. I mean, you kick the convert, let's say that's a given. I have seen those onside kicks and a guy catch it on the fly and go. In fact, I did a game. Great protection up front. Let's go back and look at this because this is Cotolo's first touchdown as a pro. And he gets loose finally in the end zone, beats Harold Natch and picks up the touchdown. But I did a game years ago in Sacramento. And late in the game, a guy caught it on the run. I believe it was against the Toronto Argonauts, and that won the game for Sacramento. So listen, it can happen.
Well, look at what Toronto Argonauts might agree with you based on what had happened to them last night.
Well, I heard my old pal Glenn Suter talk about the onside kick in Toronto last night.
number 7.
As probably the most exciting play in football, and I kind of agree. I love it.
I think this young man, Frank Cotolo, certainly earned himself a longer stay with the BC Lions. He's going to be around for a while, and he's going to be one that the Lion fans are going to like. Curtis Head puts it through. Make it 34-27 with 7 seconds. So the Lions need an onside kick, and really right now need a miracle, but miracles do happen in the CFL.
Well, let's set up really ideally what you'd want to do on an onside kick here. Winnipeg will have their hands team in, guys that are used to handling the football, and they'll put 11 guys up there, maybe 1 guy back. But what BC will most likely do is to set up a wall They'll set up a wall, and we'll try to show you when they get lined up what may happen. And they're gonna try to create like a bowling alley. They're gonna have about 5 or 6 guys that will take off and try and knock down every Winnipeg player in sight, knock them down, and hopefully one of their tall receivers or DBs can catch it on the fly and go the distance. But ideally, in this situation where you really have no time left, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, they're going to run out of clock because they'll have to take it all the way.
Well, okay.
They'll not get a play from scrimmage if they did recover.
If you can widen out just a little bit on our camera shot. Okay, here are the guys you got to knock down, and these guys have got to do it, and then one of these guys has to sneak in behind and try and catch it on the fly. But you got to get the Winnipeg hands down for starters.
And you might need a few laterals. Knocked out of bounds.
Well, they got it.
They got it. They got it. With 3 seconds, what did that take? That might have taken a second. So there's 6 seconds to go.
Well, it was a great kick by the rookie Curtis Head. He put it way up in the air, and I think it was Geroy Simon, number 81, that gets the hand up on it.
Fell well.
There it is. Fell well. Number 3, there it is. Good call. But hey, pretty well executed. Not bad.
Well, now a Hail Mary. Who knows? You just never know in the Canadian Football League. 6 seconds to go, and the BC Lions with one last gasp. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, and here's Geroy Simon right there. There's the guy you want to watch in this situation.
Dickinson throws it long into coverage, and this ball game is over. So the Blue Bombers spoil the first night of the 50th anniversary season of the BC Lions. 50 years ago, the Bombers beat the Lions 8-6. Tonight, they beat them 34-27.
Well, it was a valiant effort. It looks good on the scoreboard to make it close, but in the end, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had just too big a lead late in the game, and nice try. But Wally gets the loss, and Dave Ritchie starts off his season and his quest for another Grey Cup with a nice win on the road.
Game full of turnovers. Big night for Bobby Gordon. Wally Buono is a loser in his first game as a head coach. Dave Dickinson, though, is back in the CFL. Finals 34-27, Winnipeg.